Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with this youth adventure training program is to teach kids simple projects, because understanding how to make your own gear is a very cool thing, and it makes you feel much more self-reliant. And while it's really nice to have brand new gear that you go out and buy or you purchase somewhere, it's also cool to be able to know how to make your own stuff and to improvise and repurpose things from around the house to make the gear that you need. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a queen size bed sheet and we're going to improvise a hammock. Now, don't go take mom's sheets out of the closet and try this without asking first. But if you weigh 150 pounds or less, you can get away with just using paracord, and a queen size bed sheet should be plenty big enough for you to improvise a hammock. Now I'm going to make a hammock for myself, but I'm not going to use paracord. I'm going to use something a little bit stronger called mule tape that holds a lot more weight than paracord. But I'm going to use a microfiber type bed sheet just from Walmart that costs less than $15 for a full set with the pillowcases that also can be improvised into backpacks. And we'll talk about that in another video. So we're going to get a lot of use out of this bed sheet set that we picked up. But the first thing we're going to do is improvise a hammock. Hang on. All right, the first thing we want to do is we want to take this sheet, and we just want to take one end of it here, and we want to fold it in half like this, fold it in half again, and we want to go the opposite direction every time we fold it in half so that it kind of forms a W when we're done. And we need to fold it down until it's about this wide, about 4 inches, something like that in width. And then this is what we're going to start with to tie one end of our hammock. Now I'm going to reach up here and grab this mule tape that I've got here. And I've got these cut in 25-foot lengths, I believe, if I remember right. You can do the same thing with your paracord. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself a bite of this that you've got enough for an overlap. So I would say get yourself at least, thumb to pinky size swatch of that. And we're going to take this and we're going to tie our remember our bowline knot, right? So we're going to tie a bowline knot in this real fast, just like this. And we're going to use that bowline knot basically as a cinching type knot to get a good bite on this thing right off the bat. Well, let's get our end here, get this all untangled. Cordage has a really good tendency to tangle up on itself. So the more we mess with it now and get it all straightened out and that off to the side here, the better off we're going to be. This stuff is slippery. Okay, so we're going to get ourselves a good little bite on this thing and tighten that down. And then we're going to give ourselves a good 6 or 8 wraps, just like this. Then we're going to fold it over, and we're going to take 6 or 8 more wraps going up the other direction, just like this. Okay. Now, we want to leave ourselves enough space in the end of this bite that we can get our cordage back through it. So now we're going to tie a clove hitch. And if you remember, that was an X pattern. And when we come back up through, and you can manipulate this with your hands, but when you come back up through with that end, you're going to come up through that X. And that's going to give you that clove hitch type knot. All right, so right there's our X. We're going to go up through the X just like this. Again, this stuff is pretty slippery, but you'll learn to manipulate cordage as you use it more and more. You learn to be able to manipulate it pretty quick. And we're going to pull it down tight, and the harder we pull that down, the tighter that clove hitch is going to get on us. And it's going to be a self-tightening type knot there. Okay, there we go. Now nothing should slip once we get that done, and that's what we're counting on, okay? Because now we've got to use this right here to hang our hammock. So we're going to take this end of it and hang our hammock with it through this loop. So now we got to do the same thing to the other end. All right, now we want to make sure that we can get all the way through the end of this thing. And if we have to shove a stick through there, or whatever we have to do to make sure that we can get in there and get a piece of line stuck through it where we made that fold over, that's what we need to do. Then we're going to come over and we're going to put this string cordage, mule tape, whatever you have around the tree one time, and then we need to pass it through that eye. So now we're going to have to shove a stick or something in that eye to make sure that we can get all the way through there. Make sure we can see daylight through it. And if you need to, push that in there and just get yourself a stick off the ground, just like this, and shove it in there to shove it through, just like that. Grab it on the other end and pull it through. And now what that does is that gives you a little bit of a pulley system, because now you have something that you can adjust like this, back and forth. All right? So you can now pull that and make it loose and tight. Now what you want to do with that is you want to lock that off. So give yourself a little bit of a step off here. And now we're going to talk about a knot that we haven't used yet in what we've been studying, but this is part of the trucker phase that we'll talk about later. And all we're going to do with this now is we're going to come in here and we're going to go around this loop a couple times here. We want to go around it twice to lock it off, just like this, okay? One time over the line, 2 times over the line, and then between both lines, and we're going to put what's called a slippery half hitch in there. And that's going to allow us to get it undone later. But it's not going to come undone now. And that's the whole key to this, is that we don't want it to come undone or get loose now. Now we're going to go over and tie the other side exactly the same way. Okay, once you've got that thing tied up, you should have enough room in there, easy enough for a miniature human. For an adult like me, something like this is going to be pretty tight to lay down in. You just want to make sure that you get yourself plenty of room to get in here. And it's not horrible bad. You just got to get centered up in it good. It's definitely sleepable for an adult, but it's not quite as long as it needs to be for an adult hammock. But it works pretty good. You could definitely sleep like this, even if you were a grown-up person. But for a youngin', it's an excellent makeshift hammock. And here's the thing. It doesn't take a lot of expensive material to make something like this. You know, this is a queen-size bed sheet and some rope. And you can get some paracord, will work fine for you, or just some good strong nylon type rope that's got a good tensile strength. Get with mom and dad before you mess around with it and make sure that they're okay with it. Hang your hammock low to the ground. You don't want to get yourself to the point where you're way up in the air if you fall out of it, or if something happens. Practice this thing so that when you put your tail end in it, before you lay down in it, bounce up and down in it a few times, and make sure that you stretch it out really good, and that when it's all said and done, you got less than a foot between you and the ground. That's the way you want to practice this kind of stuff. Give yourself a little bit of a hang angle, about 30 degrees. If you're sitting in it, you should have about 30 degrees of hang angle going up toward the trees. If you've got that, you'll be in pretty good shape. But this is an easy project. It's really not part of the Trailblazer phase or the Trekker phase, although some of the knots we'll learn more in the Trekker phase. But it's just a side project that you can do to help develop your own equipment for things that you may need in later phases. Now, on a quick note, let me show you something really fast. We talked about this slippery hitch, and I know we haven't really learned it yet, but look how easy that came undone, even after having all of my weight bearing down on it and laying in it. I weigh over 200 pounds. I got a knot here that's giving me a fit trying to come out, but there we go. Pretty easy up and down with that slippery hitch system.